Jamal Wallace, a 30-year-old black millionaire, inherits a vast fortune after his parents' tragic death. Despite his wealth, Jamal feels empty and lonely. One day, he encounters an elderly homeless woman named Maria and offers her shelter in his mansion's unused garage. Their growing friendship reveals Maria's hidden artistic talent and a past intertwined with secrets, leading them on a journey of healing, love, and unexpected revelations. Jamal Wallace, a 30-year-old black millionaire, inherited a vast fortune after his parents tragically died in a car accident when he was just 20. Despite his immense wealth and luxurious lifestyle, Jamal felt an aching loneliness and emptiness inside. He resided in a grand mansion on the city's outskirts, surrounded by servants and all the luxuries money could buy, yet none of it filled the void in his heart. One sunny afternoon, while driving his sleek sports car through the bustling city streets, Jamal noticed an elderly homeless woman rummaging through a dumpster. She looked weak and tired, stirring a pang of compassion in Jamal's chest. Without a second thought, he stopped his car and approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am, can I help you with something?" Jamal asked gently. The woman looked at him suspiciously, but sensed a kindness in his eyes that made her feel she could trust him. "My name is Maria," she said in a trembling voice. "I've been living on the streets for months after I was evicted from my apartment. I have no one to turn to." Moved by Maria's plight, Jamal offered her a place to stay. "I have a garage I don't use. You can stay there until you find something better." Maria was speechless at Jamal's generosity. With tears in her eyes, she accepted his offer and followed him to his mansion. The garage, larger than any apartment she had ever lived in, was equipped with a comfortable bed, a small bathroom, and a makeshift kitchen. Maria couldn't believe her luck. As the days passed, Jamal and Maria grew closer. Jamal discovered that Maria had once been a talented artist but had abandoned her passion due to life's hardships. Maria, in turn, saw the noble and compassionate heart behind Jamal's millionaire facade. She taught him to appreciate life's simple joys, like a sunset or a hot cup of coffee on a cold morning, filling the void in his heart. Despite their growing friendship, Maria remained secretive about her past. Jamal sensed she was hiding something, but chose not to press her. He knew she would share her story when ready. Weeks passed, and Maria settled into her new home, insisting on keeping the garage clean herself. She was a proud woman and did not want to be a burden. Jamal was surprised by how much he enjoyed Maria's company. They bonded over their shared love of art and music, spending hours discussing their favorite painters and composers. One day, while having tea in the mansion's garden, Maria casually mentioned her upcoming birthday. Jamal realized he knew little about her past and took the opportunity to ask, "Maria, I know you don't like talking about your past, but I'd like to know more about you. What was your life like before we met?" Maria looked down, silent for a moment. Jamal could see she was struggling with her emotions. Finally, she looked up, her voice shaky. "My life before I met you was complicated. I had to make difficult decisions and face unimaginable situations. But that's all in the past now, and I'd rather not think about it." Jamal nodded understandingly. "I understand. Whatever you've been through, I'm here to support you. You're an amazing person, and you deserve to be happy." Maria smiled gratefully and took Jamal's hand. "Thank you, Jamal. Maybe someday I'll be ready to tell you my story, but for now, let's enjoy the present." Determined to make Maria's birthday special, Jamal spent days planning a surprise party. He decorated the garage with balloons and garlands, prepared her favorite dishes, and even tracked down some of her old friends. On the day of the party, Jamal took Maria for a walk around the city to keep her distracted while preparations were finalized. When they returned, Maria was speechless at the sight of the surprise party. Overwhelmed with emotion, she hugged Jamal. "No one has ever done anything like this for me. You are an angel, Jamal." Jamal smiled, hugging her back. "You are the angel, Maria. You filled my life with light and joy, and I wanted to show you how much you mean to me." The party was a joyful celebration with friends, laughter, dancing, and delicious food. For the first time in a long while, Maria felt truly loved and appreciated. As the evening progressed, Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that Maria was hiding something significant about her past. He knew he had to be patient and wait for her to open up. One quiet morning, Maria woke early and began preparing breakfast in the garage. Jamal, exhausted from a long week of work, decided to sleep in. As Maria cooked, she hummed a melody Jamal didn't recognize, lost in thought with a dreamy expression. After breakfast, Jamal excused himself to attend to some urgent matters in his office, while Maria decided it was time to resume her passion. She retrieved an old, worn briefcase from under her bed, opened it with trembling hands, and took out a sketch pad and some pencils. It had been years since she had drawn, but she felt it was time. She sat on the garage floor and began to draw. At first, her strokes were shaky and insecure, but she gradually regained her confidence. She drew landscapes from her childhood, portraits of people she had known, and imaginary scenes that popped into her mind. So absorbed was she in her work that she didn't notice Jamal had entered the garage. He stood silently, watching her with awe and admiration. "You are incredibly talented, Maria," Jamal said softly, moving closer. Maria looked up, startled at first but relaxed when she saw the admiration in Jamal's eyes. "Thank you, Jamal. It's been a long time since I drew, but I felt it was time to get back to it." Jamal sat beside her, examining the drawings. "They are beautiful, Maria. Why did you stop drawing?" Maria sighed, silent for a moment. "I had to leave many things behind when my life changed. Drawing was one of them. But now, living here with you, I feel I can be myself again." Jamal smiled, taking her hand. "I'm so glad to hear that, Maria. I want you to know you'll always have my support." Maria smiled back, squeezing his hand. "Thank you, Jamal. You're a good friend." They spent the rest of the afternoon talking about art and sharing stories. Jamal told Maria about his lonely childhood and how he found solace in music and painting. Maria, in turn, shared stories of the places she had visited and the people she had met. Despite their growing trust, Maria remained silent about the darker details of her past. Jamal sensed there was more to her story but decided not to press her. Jamal couldn't get the idea of helping Maria return to her passion out of his head. He researched her past using his contacts and resources. What he discovered left him speechless. Maria had been a renowned painter in her youth, with exhibitions in prestigious galleries. Her works were admired by critics and collectors, and she was expected to have a brilliant career. But more than 20 years ago, she suddenly disappeared from the art scene, and her name fell into oblivion. Determined to get answers, Jamal decided to talk to Maria about what he had discovered. One afternoon, while they were having tea in the garden, Jamal gently brought up the subject. "Maria, there's something I want to ask you," he began. "I've been researching your past and found out you were a well-known painter in your youth. What happened to make you stop painting?" Maria was silent for a few moments, staring blankly into the horizon. Jamal could see she was struggling with her emotions. Finally, she sighed and looked at him sadly. "It's a long story, Jamal, one I've been trying to forget for many years," she said. Jamal took her hand warmly. "I understand if you don't want to talk about it, but I'm here to support you. If you ever want to share your story, I'll be happy to listen." Maria smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Jamal. Maybe someday I'll have the courage to tell you everything, but for now, I'd rather focus on the present." Jamal nodded. "Take all the time you need, Maria. I believe in your talent and want to help you resume your passion for painting." Maria's eyes filled with tears. "Would you really do that for me, Jamal? After all, you've already done?" Jamal smiled. "Of course, Maria. You deserve to do what you love. Let me help you." From that moment on, Jamal dedicated himself to helping Maria resume her passion for painting. He bought her materials and canvases and set up a room in the mansion as a studio. Maria spent hours in the studio painting and drawing as she had not done in years. At first, her strokes were shaky and insecure, but she gradually regained her confidence. Jamal watched her work in silence, marveling at her talent and dedication. Several weeks passed, and Jamal noticed a noticeable change in Maria. She seemed happier and more relaxed, as if she had found a purpose in life again. One afternoon, while Maria was working on a new painting, Jamal came into the studio with exciting news. "Maria, I have a surprise for you," he said with a smile. "I've been talking to some friends in the art world, and they are very interested in seeing your work. They asked if you would be willing to participate in a local exhibition. Maria was speechless. It had been years since she had exhibited her work, and the thought filled her with both dread and excitement. "I don't know, Jamal," she said in a trembling voice. "It's been so long. What if they don't like my work?" Jamal walked over to her and hugged her warmly. "Maria, your work is beautiful. I'm sure people will love it. And even if they don't, the important thing is that you are happy and satisfied with what you do." Maria smiled and wiped away her tears. "You're right, Jamal. I've spent too much time hiding my talent. I agree to participate in the exhibition." Jamal smiled excitedly. "Excellent. I'm sure it will be a success. Don't worry about anything. I'll take care of all the details." For the next few weeks, Maria devoted herself to preparing her works for the exhibition. She spent hours in the studio, painting and perfecting every detail. Jamal supported her every step of the way, bringing her food and drink when she forgot to eat and encouraging her when she felt she couldn't go on. Finally, the day of the exhibition arrived. Maria was nervous but also excited. She knew she was about to face her past and her fears, but also knew she had Jamal's unconditional support. When they arrived at the gallery, Maria was amazed by the number of people in attendance. Art critics, collectors, and art lovers admired the works on display. Shyly, Maria approached her section, where her paintings hung on the wall. To her surprise, a large group of people had gathered around her works, commenting and discussing animatedly. "They're amazing," a woman said. "The way she captures light and movement is breathtaking. And the emotion she conveys through the colors and shapes," a man added. "It's as if you can feel what the artist was feeling." Maria felt tears welling up in her eyes. After so many years of doubts and fears, she was finally getting the recognition she deserved. Jamal walked over and hugged her proudly. "You did it, Maria. You're shining like the star you are." Maria smiled and hugged him back. "Thank you, Jamal. None of this would have been possible without you." But just when Maria thought everything was perfect, a man approached her with a surprised expression. "Maria, is that you?" he asked. "It's me, Manuel. Don't you remember me? We were classmates in art school." Maria froze. Manuel had been one of her best friends in her youth, but had also witnessed one of the darkest moments of her life. "Manuel, I didn't expect to see you here," she said in a trembling voice. Manuel smiled. "I know it's been a long time, but when I saw your name on the list of artists, I had to come see you. We have a lot to talk about." Maria looked at Jamal with concern. She knew Manuel had information about her past that could jeopardize everything she had accomplished. What secrets did Manuel keep, and how would they affect the new life Maria had built with Jamal? The exhibition was a resounding success. Maria's works received praise from critics and collectors, many selling for high prices. Despite her joy, Maria couldn't stop thinking about her meeting with Manuel. She knew he had information that could jeopardize everything she had achieved. Jamal noticed Maria's concern and decided to invite Manuel to dinner at the mansion so they could talk in private. Maria was nervous, but knew she had to face her past. During dinner, Manuel told them about his life after art school. He had worked as an art critic and followed Maria's career closely before her disappearance. "I always knew you had a special talent, Maria," Manuel said admiringly. "Your works were unique and moving, and I was sure you would go far." Maria smiled sadly. "Thank you, Manuel, but as you know, things didn't turn out as I had hoped." Manuel nodded. "I know. I always wondered what happened when you disappeared. Many thought you had a nervous breakdown." Maria lowered her gaze. "It wasn't a nervous breakdown, Manuel. It was something much worse." Jamal took her hand affectionately. "You don't have to tell us anything you don't want to, Maria." Maria shook her head. "No, Jamal. It's time to face my past. When I was young, before I met Ricardo, I was married to a wonderful man named Gabriel. He was the love of my life." Jamal felt a pang of jealousy but hid it. He knew Maria had a life before they met and had loved others. "Gabriel and I were very happy together," Maria continued. "He was my biggest supporter and best friend. But one day, everything changed." Maria took a deep breath. "Gabriel didn't die in a car accident. He was killed by Ricardo." Jamal gasped. He couldn't believe Ricardo had done something so horrible. Ricardo was obsessed with me. He couldn't stand the idea of me being with another man, so he decided to get rid of Gabriel. Maria burst into tears. I had no choice but to leave our son in the care of a foster family to keep him safe from Ricardo. Jamal felt the world stop around him. All his life, he believed his parents had died in an accident. Why didn't you ever tell me before? Jamal asked in a trembling voice. Why did you keep this secret for so long? Maria looked down, ashamed. I was afraid Ricardo would make good on his threat. And then, when I met you and saw the goodness in you, I couldn't bear the thought of losing you too. Jamal was silent, processing everything Maria had told him. He felt a mixture of sadness, anger, and deep love. Finally, he hugged Maria tightly. Thank you, Maria, he whispered. Thank you for giving me life and protecting me. Maria sobbed into Jamal's shoulder. Forgive me for not telling you sooner. I love you with all my heart. Jamal kissed her forehead. I have nothing to forgive, Mom. I understand why you did what you did, and I thank you for giving me a happy life despite everything. After Gabriel's murder, Maria had lived in fear, running from Ricardo. Now, with Jamal and Manuel's support, she felt safe enough to confront her past. Ricardo's arrest had freed her from years of anguish. Finally, she could think about the future without fear. Jamal and Maria began planning to find her family. Maria had lost contact with her daughter after fleeing from Ricardo. With Jamal's resources, they had a chance to reunite. The search was not easy, but Jamal hired private investigators and spent hours looking through records. Finally, after weeks of searching, they found Maria's daughter living in a small town several hours away. Maria couldn't believe her ears. Together, they traveled to the town. When they arrived, Maria's heart raced. Would her daughter forgive her? Jamal squeezed her hand, comforting her. Maria knocked on the door. After a few seconds, the door opened, and her daughter stood there. Mom, she said, her voice trembling. Yes, my love, it's me, Maria said, tears streaming down her face. Her daughter threw herself into Maria's arms, crying and laughing. They spent hours talking and catching up. Maria's daughter told her about her life and family. Maria, in turn, shared everything that had happened, from her escape from Ricardo to her reunion with Art thanks to Jamal's help. It was a moment of healing and reconciliation. Jamal watched with a smile, knowing he had been a key part of Maria's recovery. But there was still one last secret to reveal. After reuniting with her daughter, Maria and Jamal returned to the mansion. They decided Maria's daughter and her family would move in to build new memories together. Jamal was excited to have a bigger family and prepared everything for their arrival. Maria spent hours in her studio, painting with more freedom and passion than ever before. But Jamal noticed something strange. Sometimes, he found her staring into the void, a sad expression on her face. When he tried to talk to her, she would change the subject. Finally, one day while sitting in the garden, Maria decided to tell Jamal the truth. There is something I have never told you, Jamal, she said in a trembling voice. Something about my past. Jamal looked at her with concern but said nothing, knowing she needed time to find the right words. When I was young, before I met Ricardo, I was married to a wonderful man named Gabriel, Maria continued. He was the love of my life. Jamal felt a pang of jealousy but tried to hide it. Gabriel and I were very happy together, Maria continued. But one day, everything changed. Maria took a deep breath. Gabriel didn't die in a car accident. He was killed by Ricardo. Jamal gasped. He couldn't believe Ricardo had done something so horrible. Ricardo was obsessed with me. He couldn't stand the idea of me being with another man, so he decided to get rid of Gabriel. Maria burst into tears. I had no choice but to leave our son in the care of a foster family to keep him safe from Ricardo. Jamal felt the world stop around him. All his life, he believed his parents had died in an accident. Why didn't you ever tell me before? Jamal asked in a trembling voice. Why did you keep this secret for so long? Maria looked down, ashamed. I was afraid Ricardo would make good on his threat if he discovered the truth. And then, when I met you and saw the goodness in you, I couldn't bear the thought of losing you too. Jamal was silent, trying to process everything Maria had told him. He felt a mixture of emotions: sadness for the loss of a father he never knew, anger towards Ricardo for taking away his chance to grow up with his real family, and a deep love and gratitude towards Maria for protecting him all these years. Finally, Jamal wrapped his arms around Maria and hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Maria," he whispered in her ear. "Thank you for giving me life, for protecting me, and for loving me as only a mother can." Maria sobbed into Jamal's shoulder, feeling a huge weight lift from her heart. At last, after so many years of secrets and lies, she could be completely honest with her son. "Forgive me for not telling you sooner, Jamal," Maria said through tears. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want you to know that I love you with all my heart and that you have always been and always will be my son." Jamal kissed Maria's forehead tenderly. "I have nothing to forgive you for, Mom. I understand why you did what you did, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to have a happy and fulfilling life despite everything." The reunion with her daughter and the revelation of Jamal's true identity brought a new sense of purpose and healing to their lives. Maria and Jamal spent their days building a new future, filled with love and creativity. The mansion was now filled with the laughter of Maria's daughter, her husband, and their children, creating a vibrant and loving environment. As the weeks turned into months, Maria continued to paint, her works reflecting the joy and peace she had found. Jamal, inspired by Maria's resilience and creativity, decided to open an art gallery in her honor. The gallery would not only showcase Maria's incredible talent, but also provide a platform for other artists who had faced hardships and needed a chance to shine. One day, while working on a new painting in her studio, Maria received a letter. It was from a prestigious art critic who had attended her exhibition. The critic praised her work and invited her to participate in an international art fair. Maria was thrilled and shared the news with Jamal and her family. "This is your moment, Maria," Jamal said, beaming with pride. "You deserve all the recognition in the world. We'll support you every step of the way." Maria's participation in the International Art Fair was a resounding success. Her works were celebrated for their emotional depth and masterful technique, earning her accolades and new opportunities. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that her art could touch people's hearts and inspire them. However, the journey wasn't without challenges. As Maria's fame grew, so did the attention on her past. Journalists and critics began digging into her history, bringing up painful memories and questions about her disappearance from the art world. Maria struggled with the sudden scrutiny, but Jamal and her family stood by her, offering their unwavering support. One evening, as they were gathered in the mansion's garden, Maria received a call from an old friend. It was Sophia, a fellow artist who had known Maria during her early years. Sophia had heard about Maria's resurgence and wanted to reconnect. "I've missed you, Maria," Sophia said warmly. "It's been too long. We should catch up and talk about everything that's happened." Maria agreed, and they arranged to meet at a cozy cafe in the city. When they saw each other, it was as if no time had passed. They reminisced about their youth, shared stories of their struggles and triumphs, and rekindled their friendship. During their conversation, Sophia revealed that she had kept a significant secret. "Maria, there's something you need to know," Sophia said hesitantly. "After you disappeared, Ricardo tried to contact me. He wanted me to help him track you down, but I refused and did everything I could to protect you." Maria was taken aback. "You never told me this, Sophia. Why didn't you say anything?" "I was scared, Maria," Sophia admitted. "I didn't know how to help you without putting myself in danger, but I always hoped you were safe and would find your way back to your art." Maria felt a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "Thank you, Sophia. Knowing that you tried to protect me means the world to me." Their reunion brought a new sense of closure to Maria's past. She realized that she had more allies and friends than she had ever known. With Sophia's encouragement and support, Maria continued to thrive in the art world, her works gaining international acclaim. Jamal, inspired by Maria's strength and determination, decided to use his resources to help other artists who had faced adversity. He established a foundation that provided grants and mentorship to struggling artists, ensuring that no one would have to give up their dreams due to life's hardships. As Maria's life flourished, she also began to reconnect with her cultural heritage, She started incorporating elements of her Afro-Latino background into her artwork, creating pieces that celebrated her roots and told the stories of her ancestors. These works resonated deeply with audiences, adding a new dimension to her already impressive portfolio. The mansion, once a symbol of Jamal's loneliness, had become a vibrant hub of creativity and love. Maria's daughter and her family had integrated seamlessly into their lives, and the mansion was filled with laughter, music, and the joyous chaos of children playing. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Maria looked around the table and felt a deep sense of contentment. She had come full circle, from a life of hiding and fear to one of love, creativity, and connection. "Thank you, Jamal," Maria said, her voice filled with emotion. "You gave me a second chance at life, and I will always be grateful." Jamal smiled, his heart full. "No, Maria. Thank you for showing me the true meaning of family and for filling my life with love and light." As they sat together, surrounded by the warmth of family and the promise of a bright future, Maria and Jamal knew that they had found something priceless, a bond that transcended time, trials, and secrets. They had turned their pain into art, their struggles into strength, and their lives into a beautiful masterpiece.